We're gonna find her, Gibbs. We're gonna find her. You believe that, right? Don't answer that. Forget I asked. Just...
An audience looking at a TV show or a feature film, and if you say to them, what was that episode about? They'll say, there's this great scene where Abby and Gibbs get into this argument, and then Tony says to Ziva, and then there's this great car chase. They're not actually telling you what the episode was about, they're telling you about the moments of the episode. I write to moments. I look for the moments in a story that are going to have a big impact. Gibbs laying dead, having been pulled out, and Tony's given up on him. We've consciously tried this season to have some really big moments, some big episodes. And the classic example of that was Requiem.
Ever so often you feel like you have to not be absurd, but you have to go out of the box. Everybody has to pull together when you do an episode like that. I mean, you got to go, okay, now we're going to do something that may take a little longer to do. It may take more money. It certainly takes a lot more planning to do, and you pull together.
That was an enormous production script. You know, everyone, right across the board, every department involved in making this show was challenged by that episode. Tony Warmby, who's just a fabulous director, has an ability to take a script, to get inside it, to understand it, and he's an old-fashioned director. He gets out there, he doesn't sit in what we call video village. He gets out and stands beside the camera. He's in the room with the actors, and it shows.
We try to do deeper kinds of things about who is Gibbs, what's about his lifestyle. Let's go deeper into who he was, his family.
What's been let out are just little glimpses, kind of like a strobe light, you know, these little pops here and there. Requiem changed some of that because his past was dug into. Gibbs is pretty tight, you know, and he's real sure about the job and what he does on the job, and I think he's very unsure about everything else.
Please don't go.
Still think about her after all these years. Wonder what she'd be like.
What would it be like if he saw a young girl who could well have been his daughter if she had lived? Then, let's put her in jeopardy. He was in Iraq when they died. He wasn't there to save them. This was about Gibbs being in a position where he could save this girl. He was not really saving her, he was saving his daughter.
It's as if somebody were to open the heart and open it just a little bit, and you get a glimpse of their heart just for a few seconds, and you get to know that, oh my God, they feel, and oh my God, they're alive, and maybe they cry.
There are so many powerful moments in that episode. The very end of Requiem, Gibbs looks at two photographs. One of his daughter and her friend as young children, and a more recent photo of him and the young girl whose life he's just saved. He holds the two of them, he looks at them, and he throws them down casually onto the bench. And when we push in on the photographs, and they've landed in such a way that the juxtaposition appears that Gibbs has his arm around his daughter. My original ending to that show was Gibbs going outside, taking the little time capsule that his daughter had buried, taking it out there and burying it under the tree himself, putting it back where it was. Gibbs was never going to look in there. He didn't need to. That was his journey. He had finally put her to rest. But when the idea of the photograph came up as I was writing, I thought, okay, it's a detour. It's a different moment, but it's a really, really strong moment.
NCIS is not necessarily an action show per se, but like a lot of shows, it has elements of action in it and components, especially maybe sometimes in the teaser.
We shot that in two different locations. One was a warehouse down in San Pedro, and the other was a swimming pool out in the valley, Deep Valley. Swimming pool, by swimming pool, I mean like a 30-foot deep tank where they shoot sequences for films.
Water, I think, is one of the most difficult environments to shoot in, naturally. It changes the light, It changes focus, it changes how you move and operate cameras, obviously, and then you have to take people down there.
There were safety crews there, and obviously we did that those sequences with the absolute concern of all of the cast and the actors and the crew.
The way that we did the running around in the diving part down in San Pedro, all that exterior stuff, and all the way up to the moment. I did all of the stuff all the way up to the moment of the diving, and then they had a stunt man do the actual jump off the pier into the harbor, which is not bacteria-free, I would say.
Mark, he's just a fabulous actor to work with. You give him material and he says, I'll do it. When he read the script and when I spoke to him about it, he did not hesitate to say, that's going to be me, that's not going to be a stuntman. We had body doubles ready to go into the water, but when you're sitting there and you're seeing Mark Harmon on the screen, underwater, playing dead, it was remarkable. You could not have got those shots with a double. You just couldn't have done it.
He doesn't really like me to talk about his days as a football player, but I think he still has that ability that when the play is called, hurt, sick, whatever, you go and you get it done. That's your job.
Weatherly worked his butt off. I worked hard on that episode, and certainly a lot of people you didn't see behind the scenes worked hard on that episode. The underwater stuff is made more difficult because the communication is difficult. Tony was prepared. He had storyboards. We'd surface and look at storyboards on a chart, and he'd point what exactly he wanted. Everything is done with hand signals pretty much. We shot for 2 days in that dive pool, and I did from about 25 feet from the bottom to the surface. I, in one take, would dive off a pontoon platform into the water, break the surface. They'd have a camera bring me all the way down to the car, and then I would get on a tank down on the bottom, and we'd stay on the bottom, and you'd hear, okay, we're gonna go again. The water was dyed murky to look stirred up, so once you took off a mask underwater, once you had found the seat in the car and gone down to it, once you got in the car, you were on your own. And once you took off the mask, you were basically blind.
Ready, guys? Cameron ready. Pan to a peep. Let me see you. Pan to camera. You ready? Stand by. Stand by. Get him rolling. And get him rolling first. Yeah. Are they rolling? And roll camera. And action!
I got inside that car when it was full of water at the bottom of that tank, and with the windshield in and the doors closed and the windows up, it's scary. You take off your mask, you get rid of your air supply, and it's frightening.
It was an incredibly intense, really fun experience. Diamond Farnsworth did just a hero's job of making sure that everyone was really well prepared, really safe, and that it also just looked fantastic.
Diamond was here before I got here, and that's a tremendous amount of work that he has to do to set all that up and make sure it works, obviously, without fail.
Just do this, wave, Matt will be right on you and give you air. My parents always thought I was going to be an astronaut because teachers told them I was taking up space. So for this business, this was heaven sent for me. They lay a script on my desk, and then I go in and I go through the script.
You get the keys, I get Maddie.
First time you go make a pass through the script, you're not reading the dialogue, you're just kind of looking for the action. And then you bend the page back. And once you're done with going through the script, then you go back and kind of see how it fits into the show.
We had great people in Requiem who did the water work. And we've had great people who drive cars when you do the stunt cars, or people who do jumps from falls from buildings. He's been around a long time. He knows all the stuntmen. There's a great Stuntmen's Association. He's been in it forever. You say Diamond Farnsworth, and there are very few people in the industry who would not know who he is. So for that matter, we've been very lucky, and he's been with us for the entire run of the series.
It was done right, and it was done safe. That's all we should care about.
It's make-believe. It's just about it being believable, and I think that show was believable, and it's evidenced by getting as much attention as it did, which was considerable.
We had 19.4 million viewers watch the show. That's the biggest show we've had in in the whole 5 seasons. It's our highest rating and our highest number of viewers.
This is a little bit above the norm, and it builds that whole thing that we all have in life, is a pride in your show. And so we hope that that enthusiasm and the hard work that we do then transfers to Tuesday night at 8 when the audience sees it.